I hope this works. Is it working? Okay, good. Welcome back, guys. It's a new year. Happy 2020. I hope you guys stayed safe during the holidays. The last few videos were just of me purely doing winter camping, where you could see me eat a bagel and make 2 coffees. Oh, and slip twice. Chill out, wind! Ah! Anyways, it is cold as hell, and I really need to make this video really quickly so I can go get firewood and so I don't die without any source of heat tonight. It is going down to -17 degrees Celsius, and I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit, so I'm gonna put a conversion somewhere over here. Anyways, did I even introduce the topic? You guys don't even know what I'm talking about. This is going to be a guide for winter camping. This is for people who have never done winter camping before, or even if you have done winter camping before, this is gonna be packed with useful tips to help make your life way easier when you're out here in the cold. And before we get started, just a quick thank you for everyone who's been tuning in. We hit 100 subs, not 100 subs. We hit 1,000 subs, and I know I've been talking about this in all my videos now, but thank you. I would not be here without your support. Thank you so much. If you're new here, if you like my videos, hit the like, subscribe, and share. That would mean so much to me. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get into it. If you know summer camping, well, then winter camping is basically the complete opposite in every single way. Oh, I just have so much body heat all the time. I just want to take off all my clothes. No! Gosh, I really have to go pee. I think I'm just gonna pee right here beside my buddy's tent because he won't be able to tell. No! Shower me in bug repellent because I love the calming effects of DEET on my body. No! Wait, no, that's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good thing. So, having said all that, it's really not that bad. Is it? Is it? Here are the tips on how you can get yourself started with winter camping. The first one is layering up. This is the most important thing when it comes to winter camping. I've spoken to a lot of people about this topic, and the general consensus is, I don't want to go winter camping because it's way too cold. I get you. But I think the thing that people commonly mistaken is the difference between city clothes and winter clothes. City clothes is basically anything that you would put on to get from your house into your car, and then from your car to the store, and then from the store to your car, and then from your car back to your house. That's city clothing for the wintertime. It's stuff that you put on so that you look good, because you need to look good. And looking good doesn't always mean functionality. And so if you're looking at me out here, I'm basically packed like the Michelin Man. I have, okay, so I have one layer of compression long underwear, another layer of mid-layer long underwear, a t-shirt, a hoodie, a puffer jacket, and a Gore-Tex jacket. This is really good for keeping me warm out in the cold, and I can sustain myself for long hours without a heat source because it's good at holding my body temperature in. And the same thing with the pants. So the pants, I don't have that many layers. I have 2 layers of thermal underwear on, and then I have these snow pants. I also have wool socks and winter boots. The boots I actually have right now are not that great. I think I need -30 boots, but that's besides the point. The layers that you want to use for the inside, you want to make sure that they're tight, you want to make sure that they're warm, light, and not uncomfortable for you. Otherwise, it would make the experience really shitty. The layers on the outside, you want to make sure that these layers are waterproof. This is a Gore-Tex material, which is the best in waterproofing in the market so far. So if you can get your hands on some Gore-Tex, that's great. My pants are not Gore-Tex, but they are 22,000 milligram, 22,000 something. I don't know what that means. I think that's really good. Yeah, these pants are really good. Both these outer layers keep me from getting wet from all this stuff outside, which ultimately keeps me dry, and that makes it warm. So that's number one, and that is layering up. You must layer up properly, And if you want to follow my guide, go right ahead and use these suggested layers that I use all the time out here. It could work for you. Go out and test it first before you actually do a full-blown camping trip with these suggestions. So the next thing that we're going to go into is to keep water in containers that you can easily thaw, because temperatures out here are below freezing and you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you need water but you only left it in one gigantic jug, and that gigantic jug is a big piece of plastic and you have no idea how to thaw it quickly. What I do when I usually roll into camp is I make sure that I have a plan to keep my water in a thawable state. So throughout the day, if you are keeping a close eye on your water, you may not have to separate it in the containers just yet. But when you're going to bed and at night when those temperatures are going to drop below freezing, what you want to do is you want to portion out your water into those containers that you brought. What I do is I get all of my pots and I fill up all of my pots with water, so that even if they freeze, you know that all you have to do is stick them in the campfire or stick them on a burner, and then you'll be able to thaw it properly. You'll have your drinking water then. I also make sure that I fill up my kettle, so the first thing in the morning I could just stick that frozen kettle onto the burner, and then I can have my water ready for my tea, my coffee, whatever you want. Okay, you can see here I have my container, and it is, oh, can you see? There you go. Okay, so this container is a brick of ice, and whenever I need this for drinking water, I'm just gonna stick that on some fire, and there you go. I have water to use. This is very important, because if your meals are all reliant on water and you don't have water, well then you're gonna run into trouble. Okay, number 3 is actually kind of funny, and you would not think to do this. But you know how in the summertime everyone brings a cooler out because they want to keep stuff cold? In the wintertime, you want to make sure that you bring a cooler so that you can keep stuff hot, right? Just like a thermos. And this is always a big problem for me, because everything that I bring, all the stuff ends up freezing. Like, you know, your eggs, your vegetables. Some vegetables are okay being frozen, but some high water content vegetables, when they freeze, they just bleh. All those things are going to be frozen, and if you're going to try to cook them, you might have a harder time doing that. So what I do is I get my cooler and I put all those things in the cooler, and let me show you. Okay, okay. Whoa! Oh, bad idea. I carry some containers that I can put hot water in, and at night before I go to bed, or even just throughout the day, what I would do is I would keep those containers filled with hot water, close that cooler, and that will regulate the temperature inside so it doesn't get to crazy, ridiculous freezing temperatures. You can keep that stuff at a temperature that you can use them at. Okay, so that's number 3. Bring a cooler so that you can keep stuff warm. All right, number 4 is charging your electronics. If you're like me, you do video stuff, you love photography, you love flying drones, and if you have speakers, phones, flashlights, things that you need to charge throughout the day, you need battery packs. And I have various small battery packs, but I also have a giant Goal Zero Yeti. And the problem that I found with the Goal Zero Yeti is that when it dives down below a certain temperature, it will stop charging your devices. The last couple of times I've been out at -15 degrees Celsius, or even as warm as -5 degrees Celsius, it just doesn't seem to want to work, and I had to end up turning on the car and running the heater so I can warm up that battery so that I could use it. There was no other way. So having said that, what you want to do is you want to have a plan for that. And I have 2 Anker charge cores. They're about this big, like these little rectangles, and those are good for charging my smaller electronics, like my phone, flashlight, basically my phone and flashlight, and maybe if you have speakers, your speakers. So what I do with those units in order to keep them warm is I put them in my pockets. It basically uses my body heat to keep those devices warm so that I could use them at any time. And I'm pretty sure I forgot to tell you what the point of number 4 is. Is it number 4? Yeah. Forgot to tell you what the point of number 4 is, but number 4 is to keep your battery packs small so that you can keep them close to your body and you can keep them warm. So that's what I do with those battery packs. During the day, I keep them close to my body so by the time I need to use them, they function. And at night, I keep those battery packs in the sleeping bag with me so that, you know, it warms up as I sleep so that in the morning when I need to charge things, I can charge them easily. That's number 4. Number 5 is, oh, I don't know why this is number 5 because this is pretty damn important too. Number 5 is have a plan for a heater. When I come out here and I do winter camping, I don't have propane heaters. I don't have these gas heaters. I typically just go with the campfire. I've been doing it for a while now and it's worked for me, so I think I'm gonna stick to it until I have a real reason to get one of those propane heaters or, you know, small like butane heaters that are just like a small unit and keeps you warm. I like to maintain a fire just because it keeps me active. I need to go find firewood. I need to go mill, chop, prepare the wood, get the fire going, and that process in itself keeps me warm because I'm moving, I'm active. It's almost like 2-in-1. So after you do that, then you also have a fire, and I just love campfires. I just can't get enough of them. So that's what I do. But whatever it is that you want, just make sure that you have a plan to keep yourself warm from a heat source, okay? And have also a backup heat source. Don't be like me where you just solely rely on your ability to get a fire going, because if that doesn't work, you're kind of shit out of luck. So the next point is going to piggyback off of the last point, and that is if you are planning on having a fire, make sure you bring enough dry kindling so that you don't have to spend 2 hours trying to light something that is wet. So in the winter, everything is either covered in snow or it's frozen. It's really hard to tell what is dry and what is not because things get brittle when it's cold, and you know how you test sticks, for example. If they're really brittle and they snap, you're like, okay, you know, usually in the summertime when that happens, it means the stick's dry. But it could just mean that the stick is just frozen solid and it'll just break brittly like that. So have dry material for you to get your fire going faster. Things that I've done in the past is when I've walked by silver birch trees, I would just grab a ton of birch bark and just collect it. Birch bark is great for starting fires. Also, if you have nothing to do with your Christmas tree, just cut up your Christmas tree. Pine needles light on fire so quickly. So just go to your Christmas tree and snip off all those branches, bring them with you, get them on your fire. There are also a lot of creative things that people have done in the past, like soaking cotton balls in alcohol or in some other sort of remedy that keeps these things burning for a long time. Bring those along for kindling, and that can get your fire started quickly as well. So bring stuff that you can use to start a fire quickly. And so the next point is, when you're out here, you want to make sure that you don't have any exposed skin, because especially on your extremities. Now, I don't have my gloves on just because I'm filming this video right now for you guys, but normally I would just keep my gloves on all the time, and the difference is night and day. Even about 30 seconds with your hands exposed like this could get them really, really, really cold, and it just feels like knives digging into your hands. So make sure that you try to keep bundled up all the time. Keep that heat inside so you're not struggling to stay warm. Sometimes even at night when I'm in my sleeping bag, so I have a mummy bag, so it's very, very snug, and the only part of my face that's exposed is this small area right here for my nose. And even sometimes when it gets down to -15 Celsius, it really, really, really hurts. And so what I do is sometimes I just stick my head fully into the sleeping bag, tilt my head to the side, and still have an air channel that sort of goes out and brings fresh air in. Any air that I breathe in will have to pass along a route for it to come to me, so the air is not as cold when compared to just having your nose directly out into the open like that. Okay, hang in there with me. I really have to wrap up this video quickly because I gotta go get firewood. The next point is you want to make sure that you don't forget to eat, and you want to eat plenty of good foods that have high energies so that you can keep yourself warm. Aside from bringing a heat source, your next main source of warmth is the body energy that you have inside. So you want to be well fed, and you want to make sure that you watch your water intake to ensure that your body is functioning properly and that you can keep warm that way, because your body heat, most important thing when you are out here. Make sure that you are eating properly, make sure that you're eating things that have good energy. Trail mixes are good, peanut butter is good, granola bars, and also foods that are high in good fats. That will keep you fully fueled for the day. And so now we move on to the next point, which is to simplify the food that you bring to make. There are many reasons you want to simplify your food when you're out here winter camping, but what I found most of the time for me is that I'm working most of the time. I'm working to find firewood, I'm working to build camp, I'm working to shoot videos, I'm working to get nice photographs, and so when it comes down to it, and I'm here on my solo, I don't really have much time left to sit down and really make food. And making food in the cold comes with its own challenges, depending on what kind of fire source you have. These sort of isobutane gas canisters don't really work that well in the cold. Now there are some variants where they sort of overturn the canisters, and it feeds into a fuel line that hits the fire before it gets released back into the flame, and that is actually really good. My buddy has that. If you're going to use that for winter camping, you want to make sure you have one of those. But other than that, I usually have to get my hands in there and keep the canister warm and warm up the fuel so the fuel can actually blast through and heat my water. And two, relying on the campfire for cooking, sometimes cooking on the fire is hit or miss. It might also be very dependent on what level your fire is at the moment. So you could be burning through a lot of the wood that you've saved just to cook a meal, and then you're left to need to find more wood. And one of the next points is having to clean your plates afterwards. In the cold, it's not the most fun thing to do, just because even just a little bit of water will freeze like almost instantly. You're always needing to boil water, you're always needing to keep water hot, you're gonna wash it, your hands are gonna be frozen, those pots and pans are gonna be frozen, and you have to dry them right off. It's just a little more to deal with, and so keep your offerings simple. Make sure that if you need quick energy, you don't have to go and scramble in the cold to make your food. What I do is I just like to bring a lot of snacks, a lot of, like what I mentioned before, things that you can eat quickly, like carbs, like bread, and sort of like peanut butter, and I have like a lot of nuts, trail mix, and that gets me going through the day. Of course, I also bring other things that are more like meals. What you can do is you can prep a lot of meals at home and just come here and just put them on the pot and heat them up. But that's a really good idea as well. Needing to do food prep when you're out here in the cold, I mean, for the first like couple times it may be fun, but afterwards it's just gonna get really tiring, and it's also gonna get very cold for you. Okay, we're almost done. So nighttime, when you are going to bed, what you want to do, and I know this is the thing that most people look forward to, because you can get nice and cozy in your sleeping bag and roll up in a burrito and never ever want to come out because it's so cold outside. My suggestion here is to make sure that you put everything into your sleeping bag that you will be using the next day. So all of the clothes that you'll be wearing the next morning, keep them inside with you in your sleeping bag so that you don't have to wake up and put on something that is freezing cold. And usually what I do as well, and I've already mentioned this, is I keep my phone, I keep my battery pack, just so that those things stay warm and they have the functionality so they don't get like destroyed by the cold. And so the last thing that we're going to talk about is added warmth for your sleeping setup. So a lot of people use these portable propane heaters, or like these little isobutane kind of heaters, and they put them in their tents. It's just like it fuels a heating element, I believe. There's no open flame, so that's okay to put in your tent to keep warm. So it keeps the ambient temperature nice and toasty. So you can do that. Or the other thing that you can do if you don't have that option is at night sleep with a hot bottle of water. It's genius. It's simple. Just get your bottle, whether it's metal or this Nalgene, it's BPA free, whatever other free things, so that you know you're not cooking the plastic and then drinking toxins. Get your bottle filled up with hot water, put it inside your sleeping bag. Usually my toes are the coldest just because my boots aren't up to par, but the rest of my body is good. So I just put the water bottle all the way at the end, warms up my toes, keeps me nice and toasty, and by the morning, the bottle of water is still warm. That's a really good trick if you're worried about being cold at night. Along with all the layers that you bundle up with, the hot water bottle really does help. Oh, and one last thing that I forgot to mention is that if you have a sleeping bag, or if you're just using blankets or whatever setup that you have, you want to just make sure that above whatever you plan on using, you have an extra layer on top of your blankets or your sleeping bag. And that is because when our body heats exit our blankets or exit our sleeping bags, they will hit that cold temperature and instantly crystallize. So whatever it is that you have, the top layer is always going to be wet or, full of ice. And if you don't want to have your sleeping bag wet, or if you don't want to have your blanket wet, just put a nice piece of fabric or another blanket, just bring it and put it over top. You'll keep your sleeping bag or your, actual blankets dry, while you have this one exterior blanket taking the blow of the condensation. So that's a really good point to remember as well. So that's it, guys. Those are my tips for winter camping. And these tips go for beginners and experienced alike. We're all constantly learning things, and even though I've done this for a long time, I still learned a couple of things the last time I was out here. If there was anything that I missed, or if you have any other questions, just leave a comment below and I'll for sure get back to you. Thank you for supporting me here, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed that video. I gotta go cut some firewood now because I'm freezing to death. I'll see you guys in the next video. We'll be right back.